The world's upside down, Deborah. The world's upside down. We cannot have, the government cannot be allowed to have British people homeless whilst paying hoteliers, corrupt, rapacious hoteliers, £200 a night to put up people that arrived illegally on the south coast, and put them up not for a week or for a long weekend, put them up indefinitely for years at £200 per person per night. We can't have that. It's an extraordinary tribute to the patience of the British people that there are not Ballymena type riots going on across Britain all the time. It shows the truth of what I've always said, that though racism exists in Britain, it's by no means the worst on the European continent, and if you think Britain's racist, you never lived in France. So, tribute to the British people. But enough is enough.
Starmer has just been blindsided, and the damage is significant. George Galloway went live and ruthlessly exposed a deep Labour Party secret that was never meant for public consumption. With zero warning and total conviction, he delivered a crushing blow that instantly shattered Starmer's carefully polished image. This wasn't just another political spat. Galloway's revelation was deeply personal and high stakes, sending a massive tremor through the halls of Westminster. The carefully crafted Starmer mask has slipped, and his team is now scrambling to contain a mess that might be impossible to fix.
People get put up in a hotel for years at £200 a night in public money. You cannot possibly tolerate that. It's astounding that it's been tolerated so far. But the fault lies not with the guy in the hotel. The fault lies with the politicians we elected that are allowing that system to continue, and continue over many years and different parties in government. Keir Starmer says he was going to smash the criminal gangs. When are they getting smashed, Keir? More likely you get smashed than you smashing the criminal gangs. It's intolerable for a variety of reasons, and money is only one of them. If you put a couple of hundred 20 and 30-year-old guys, single men, in a hotel, in a community, what do you think's going to happen next? Inevitable. I don't need to spell it out to you, especially as you're a lady.
British politics is currently unravelling at the seams, and Keir Starmer finds himself at the epicentre of a burgeoning scandal that has shifted from simple transparency concerns to a full-blown crisis of integrity. The controversy revolves around £20,000 worth of luxury accommodation provided by a billionaire donor, an £18 million Covent Garden penthouse that has become a towering symbol of perceived elitism. While Starmer defends the arrangement by noting that no taxpayer funds were involved, this has only intensified public suspicion regarding what sort of leverage or influence was expected in exchange for such high-end hospitality. The official narrative that this glossy high-rise was merely a quiet sanctuary for his son's exam preparation has been met with widespread derision, especially as reports suggest the space functioned as a strategic hub for high-level political coordination. Seizing the moment, George Galloway has stripped away the polite whispers of Westminster, bluntly asserting that this was never an act of charity, but rather a calculated purchase of political access. Galloway's intervention has reframed the penthouse not just as a lapse in judgment, but as a troubling example of a Prime Minister operating on billionaire favours, leaving the public to wonder what the true price of that silence will be.
You know what's going to happen. 200 single guys in a hotel, in a community. The whole question of alcohol and drugs and girls and boys and crime, it's inevitable. And so, for the sake of social peace in our country, for the sake of the safety of the refugees themselves, we need a different solution to this, and we need it now, because the height of the summer is not yet upon us. And at the height of the summer, that 1,000 a day might become 1,500, might become 2,000 a day. And we never know when the straw that breaks the camel's
This isn't merely a scandal, it is a full-scale audit of where the real power lies in British politics. The central allegation is that Lord Wahid Ali, a formidable media tycoon and behind-the-scenes strategist, wasn't just providing the Labour Party with financial backing, but was actively wielding influence to steer policy and craft the party's narrative. If these claims hold water, the idea of Labour's political independence begins to look like a convenient myth. In this unfolding drama, George Galloway has transitioned from a fringe critic to the primary figure pulling back the curtain on these elite arrangements. When the pressure finally forced Starmer to respond, he offered technical loopholes rather than transparency, leaning on the brittle defence that no taxpayer money was involved. However, that argument collapses under the slightest scrutiny because the public isn't concerned with the source of the funds, but rather the motive behind them. The question now haunting newsrooms and households alike is why a billionaire would bankroll a prime minister's lifestyle and provide a political safe house for free. The suggestion that it was simple kindness has been met with a deafening silence that speaks far louder than any official denial.
Breaking news for you, as if you thought the gravy train had hit the buffers. Well, it hasn't, ladies and gentlemen. More revelations from Keir Starmer. This morning he admits that he took £20,000 in donations from Lord Ali for accommodation for his 16-year-old son to study, in his words, peacefully for his GCSE exams. I presume this means that's part of the £20,000 that was racked up for using the apartment that Lord Ali has, £18 million apartment apparently, in Covent Garden, the penthouse. Now, previously they said they used that for meetings. Previously they said Keir Starmer worked there on the night of the election. Previously they said that this was a place that he used to use for planning meetings during the election campaign. Now he's saying it was for his son to study peacefully for his GCSEs. Well, I don't know how much peaceful studying he was doing while they're all having a party on election night. Really? Seriously? Starmer said somebody offered me accommodation. Somebody? You mean Lord Ali offered me accommodation where we could do that, and I took it up, and it was the right thing to do. No.
The latest storm engulfing Westminster is more than just a political mess. It is positively radioactive. At the centre of the fallout sits a luxury Covent Garden penthouse, a billionaire donor with deep Labour ties, and a Prime Minister whose tactical silence has become more damning than any outright denial. Keir Starmer is currently navigating a credibility collapse, the kind of existential crisis that modern politicians rarely survive. The property at the heart of the scandal was no modest guest room. It was an £18 million fortress of immense privilege. Despite reports suggesting the flat served as a high-level campaign HQ and strategic hub, Starmer has doubled down on the claim that it was merely a quiet study sanctuary for his son's exams. That narrative has failed to gain traction with the public or even within his own ranks. In a nation where millions are currently forced to choose between heating and eating, the image of a billionaire subsidising the Prime Minister's lifestyle feels like a visceral punch to the stomach for the British electorate.
Matter of fact, he delayed as long as he could, and then beyond that which was acceptable to the parliamentary authorities, the depth, and I mean real depth, of his financial relationship with Lord Ali. No British Prime Minister has ever allowed a billionaire to buy his clothes, buy his glasses, buy his wife's clothes, put him up in a multi-million-pound penthouse apartment in Soho in London. No British Prime Minister has ever had the kind of financial relationship with the billionaire Lord Ali that Keir Starmer has.
Enter George Galloway, the man long dismissed as a boisterous fringe character, is now the only figure explicitly addressing the elephant in the room. He argues that this scandal transcends a single penthouse, exposing a deeper power structure built on a foundation of immense wealth and exclusive access. While Downing Street attempts to spin the narrative, the public is connecting the dots at a blistering pace. Galloway is vocalising a widespread anxiety that this wasn't merely a gesture of support, but a purchase of influence. Lord Wahid Ali, a media titan with formidable reach, didn't just sign cheques. He allegedly helped mould Labour's messaging, internal operations, and perhaps even its core policies. This has left the party appearing far too comfortable with elite backers pulling strings from the shadows. When Keir Starmer finally addressed the matter, he opted for evasion over explanation, hiding behind the thin defence that no taxpayer money was involved. Yet that misses the mark entirely. The urgent question remains, what exactly did Lord Ali receive in exchange? Because in the world of high-stakes politics, a billionaire's generosity always carries a significant price tag.
Is now widely held in Britain to be screwing the entire country. That's what concerns me. And he is in an improper relationship with the gay Bangladeshi billionaire Lord Ali. That improper relationship is a financial one. Keir Starmer has accepted utterly inappropriate gifts and financial support from Lord Ali in the first instance without declaring it.
Parliamentary authorities were forced to intervene simply to extract the basic facts, yet the full extent of this arrangement remains shrouded in mystery. The British public is still in the dark regarding the true depth and duration of this relationship, as whispers grow louder concerning everything from designer eyewear and bespoke wardrobes to undisclosed campaign extras. These are no longer being viewed as mere gifts, but as a form of political currency. Within the Labour ranks, the atmosphere has turned toxic. MPs are blindsided, with many completely unaware of the setup, while others are frantically auditing their own records in anticipation of further leaks. The silence from leadership is doing nothing to calm the party. Instead, it is heightening the sense of panic. For a party that campaigned on the moral high ground of reform and integrity, this feels like a systemic betrayal. Grassroots activists who fought for fairness and transparency are now questioning if those values were ever more than a branding exercise. As public trust evaporates, the political landscape is shifting. Reform UK is surging, independents are climbing the polls, and George Galloway, once relegated to the sidelines, now commands the spotlight by speaking directly to an electorate that feels utterly discarded. Ultimately, the Covent Garden penthouse was merely a symptom. The true scandal lies in what it represents: a preference for elite access over public accountability, and a system where unelected power brokers can dictate national policy from the shadows. Lord Ali is clearly no passive benefactor. He is a seasoned strategist and power broker who, if reports are to be believed, acted as a primary architect behind the very digital and campaign machinery that put Labour in power.
Wrong thing to do, you plonker. And then he goes, it didn't cost the taxpayer a penny. Well, that's all right then. I mean, who on earth thinks it's okay to take money from a lord who's loaded in order to put your child in an apartment that he owns so that he can study peacefully? What influence does Lord Ali have on this government? I keep asking the question, I keep getting no answers.
The democratic crisis currently unfolding reveals a system where unelected billionaires can quietly steer national agendas while the voting public is fed mere sound bites. By putting the entire political class on notice, George Galloway has ensured that every Labour policy reversal or cabinet reshuffle is now viewed through the lens of donor influence rather than merit. Starmer's refusal to provide transparent answers has created a dangerous vacuum, causing public confidence to vanish as voters openly wonder whether the Prime Minister or his financial backers are truly in charge. This is no longer a minor stumble, it is the systematic unravelling of Starmer's steady hand persona, exposing a leader who appears to have traded his prosecutorial ideals for billionaire leverage, leaving his own party fractured by quiet anger and mounting panic.
You get into power, after telling everyone you're going to be different, you get into power and it's like, oh no, well, we can take money from rich donors. They can't, but we can, because it's different. My son can go and break laws and go and hang out in my mate's £1 million penthouse to revise for his GCSEs. It's his GCSEs, he only gets one chance. No, mate, you get resits. What about everyone else's kids who don't have rich donors to go and live in penthouses for? He has proven himself to be completely...
Meanwhile, the press is intensifying its scrutiny as fresh details surface and the public's demand for transparency is reaching a fever pitch. Reform UK is rapidly capitalising on the chaos, using the scandal as high-octane fuel for their anti-establishment rhetoric, effectively turning Starmer's credibility crisis into their own political momentum. This has evolved far beyond a single penthouse or donor. It is now a glaring spotlight on a systemic rot where wealth dictates strategy in private apartments rather than party headquarters. George Galloway's message is resonating because he is attacking the very foundation of a culture where billionaire access has become the price of entry for power. Despite Labour's polished speeches on fairness, the electorate feels fundamentally ignored and deceived, and the party's reliance on legalistic PR is only transforming that frustration into genuine fury. As trust evaporates and the public shifts from disbelief to outright disgust, Starmer's carefully constructed reputation is fracturing. This scandal has become a battle for the soul of British politics, raising the harrowing question of whether the nation's leadership is truly for sale